Alright, well, I had gotten my frame all assembled because it was it was one of the final editions that was tested. So I got that already assembled. I took it apart. Before I took it apart, I went ahead and I weighed both frames, the stock frame and that frame, and I went apples to apples, oranges to oranges. There's no motor mount in here, so I took the motor mount out of the carbon fiber, the Lynx frame. The Lynx frame is direct to servo, so I left this linkage on because from here up it'd be direct to servo. So I left this linkage on. Now that one did not have a tail drive gear underneath, so I removed the tail drive gear, but that one did have the bearing blocks. So I left the bearing blocks, I reinstalled the bearing blocks in here. So I went apples to apples, oranges to oranges. The landing skid mounts, just like the landing skid mounts on the carbon fiber. All the bearings are in the frame. All the screws are in the frame, except for the servo screws. I did leave them out of here, which made it a little bit lighter. Alright, but here's what I came up with. Apples to apples, oranges to oranges. Stock frame, 76 grams. The Lynx carbon fiber, well, it was assembled. And the Lynx frame was 88.5 grams. So that makes a difference of this carbon fiber, aluminum CNC bearing blocks, and landing skids. It's 12.5 grams heavier. That's it, 12.5 grams. Myself, I'll deal with it. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and we're going to start mounting the frame. Now, according to the directions, mounting the electronic assembly, your fly-bar less unit. I left this apart. I didn't disassemble it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut away and then I'll go through and I'll Loctite my screws. So that's step number one. Step number two is assembling. It's a bottom plate. Assembling it. I left them on. Them were on there. I left them on. I'm gonna, go ahead and Loctite and I'll take them back off. And then also the step is the battery tray. I'm not gonna peel this off just to put it back on. That's a Vite killer. I'm gonna leave that on there, but I'll take and take my screws out and Loctite them. But the battery tray, the bottom plate, and your electronics tray. You'll go ahead and you mount them. There's flat sides. On your carbon fiber, make sure that your screw goes into the countersunk side. That way you get a nice flat mount for your controls. You do that with the battery tray also. Make sure that your heads are in the countersunk side. Alright, we'll go ahead and do that. And also mounting the breakaway canopy mounts. We'll go ahead and we'll mount them. For me, I'll be Loctiting them. But we'll go ahead and we'll mount them. Now on the breakaway canopy mounts, you'll notice there is a washer that goes on prior to the actual canopy mount. So you'll put the screw, carbon fiber, that little spacer, and then your canopy mount arm. And make sure you blue Loctite them. Alright, now on this bottom tray, kind of pay attention. There's a rounded side and a flat side on the frame side mounts. It goes with the round. If you're holding it like this, it goes with the rounded side up, and the T toward the inside. So, okay. Now got all that Loctited. Now next we'll be putting on, assembling onto the main frame. We'll be assembling the battery tray onto it and the electronics tray. Now, like I was saying, I'm only gonna I'm not going to Loctite the battery tray because I want to be able to kind of flip it up like this for working on my electronics. And then once I get all my electronics mounted, then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to Loctite it down. But we'll go ahead and we'll mount the two. There's no front and back on this electronics tray. There's no front side or back side, so it don't matter which way you mount it. Don't matter which way you mount the battery tray. It can go either way. But we'll mount them, and then we'll be back. Okay, like I was mentioning, I left this front screw loose. That way I can flip. You know, this one is loose also, so I can flip it up and down for putting my electronics on. Before I forget, I want to mention both side frames are exactly the same. So, you know, there's no right side, no wrong, no right, no left side. They're both exactly the same. So, alright, now we're going to get to our bearing blocks. Now on your bearing blocks, your lower block, you'll see the full bearing face. And your middle block, you'll see, you know, like how it's kind of supported. So they'll basically go like this. Your lower block, your middle block. Lower block, middle block. So it's kind of sandwiching the bearings more or less. And your upper block, you know, is pretty much basically the same. The one that you get will have links across it. So, but the bearing will go with the support underneath the bearing, and you know, the full bearing itself, you'll be able to view that from the top. Alright, and then you'll have your extra support, your carbon fiber frame support, which will go along on here also. Alright, we'll go ahead and we'll put that on and Loctite them. Alright, no, forget it, sorry. No, we will put them on. And yeah, we can Loctite them, but leave them loose. Don't torque them down. Just, you know, just give them a snug. Because what we're going to do is we're going to put our main frame in to help line up the bearing blocks. So yeah, you can go ahead and Loctite them. Just don't torque them down. Alright, let's do that and come back later. Alright, we got them all on here. They do have Loctite on them, but they're loose. They're not torqued down, they're loose. Loctite, it takes a little while for it to seize up, so we're good to go. Alright, now we're going to be mounting the a frame support. It's the it's just there to support the frame. Alright, and that comes right through, that gets mounted right here. The main frame support brace here, it doesn't have any screws other than the front and back screw. This, if you really want, if you want, you can go ahead and really just hold it and kind of tighten it down. You'll be retorquing it later anyways, but you can go ahead and lock her down. And then the motor mount, I'm not going to put any Loctite on mine because I want to go through and mount my motor. But I'll do it, you know, to help support the frame and stuff while I put it together. Yep. And now we'll be mounting the lower for the tail drive gears, or the tail drive, man, I can't remember the name of it. The tail drive jack shaft. We'll be mounting the bearing for that. Now, point the bearing toward the shaft. So, in other words, like now on here, it'd be sitting like this. The lower one would go like that, bearing pointing up, and then the upper one would go bearing pointing down. Okay, and then we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna. Now them I would put Loctite on, but don't torque them either, because we want to put that jack shaft in, and once we put that in, we want to, then tighten it down. That way it's square on the shaft. Now I'm going to go ahead and mount my boom. Next step here is also mounting the boom braces or boom clamps. I'm going to mount mine just like I did my 300, where one tightens from one side and the other one tightens from the other side. Again, that's just a personal preference, the way I am. And there's no difference, they're both the same. And then we also have the frame support. That'll mount down here, and it doubles as the servo mount. So this one you want to make sure stays square, for your servo mount. But it's a frame brace. And then I think that's it for this step. Yep, because next we'll be putting the other side on, and then we'll be putting the main shaft in, making sure the bearings line up nice, and then we'll be torquing everything down. But we'll go ahead and we'll put these pieces on, and then we'll be back. Okay, now we have everything mounted on here. It's not fully torqued, but there is Loctite on the threads, so once we get it together and lined up with the shaft, we can torque it, and we don't have to worry about kind of going back through and kind of torquing them like I did on the 300X frame. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and we're going to mount the other side frame, because we have the lower bearing, jack shaft bearing on here. We got the both boom mounts on there. We have the lower frame brace here. Alright, so now our frame will go on here. Alright, and then our frame brace. Yeah, flat end goes for the battery tray because of the slits. Yeah, we'll put that on like that, and I'll be right back. Here, now I have the second side on. Nothing is really torqued down hard. We're going to be installing the belly tray, the anti-roll, and our breakaway canopy pins. But first, make sure any Loctite's off your fingers. Insert your shaft. Now that it's inserted, we know everything is nice and straight. Now we can go ahead, we can tighten up these screws here, and then add any that we need to add. And we can tighten up our bearing block screws. Periodically checking and making sure that it's still slides. Want to tighten that one down all the way because I'm going to do the lower one. Make sure it lines up. I really do like the idea of these breakaway canopy pins. Alrighty. See, we still line up real good. Alright. Now, like I said, I'm going to tighten this one up after I mount the servo on it. Or come up with a way of keeping it straight, because I don't want it to flip and end up twisting the ears of the servo in order to get it on. Again, putting the screw into the recess of it. And your fingers aren't so fat that they jump around. Now, we're going to take our shaft out. Make sure I didn't lose my bearing in there. Or my shim, I mean. I got a shim, running a shim on there. Now we'll slide these up. And it'll be the tip to the front. But yeah, it goes in like this. Yeah, okay. Yeah, and then I'll go ahead and I'll mount that on tight. And then we'll be getting to mounting of the tail. Alright, I'll mount that and we'll be right back. Now I kind of jumped a little bit ahead. Next is installing the boom. Now I went ahead and I installed my Lynx landing skids right away because I have my tail fin on my boom. And I wanted to make sure it kind of sat straight and I didn't want it to flip all over on me. Alright, so now this is where that, for heaven's sakes, here we go. Right. Now I have my tail fin, or my belt sitting right there. Now this is that little washer collar I was talking about. It slides into the boom. I'm going to kind of hold the, I'm just going to kind of hold the belt so I can slip it over. Trying to leave my boom in one piece, that way I don't have extra work. Not sure if I'm going to get her here though. There we go. It's got a little bit of a collar, so we'll just go in, you know, like that far. And make sure my. Alright, once you get your boom in there, and you'll make sure that your belt is nice and straight and that it's not twisted. Then you go ahead and put your top bearing cover on, bearing toward the shaft. And now, you know, the tail locks will come, you know, and stretch it out and stuff. I want to go ahead and I want to kind of install a few things here first. Something don't seem right. I might have to redo mine. I'm going to have to take it off from the boom end. Really didn't want to do that, but yeah, I'm binding somewhere. All right, well, and Loctite them, and install and Loctite the booms here. I'll Loctite them later. I'll just install them. Oh yeah, I end up getting a little bit ahead of you guys. I'm sorry about that. Oh yeah, I got my boom and my boom brace is mounted. Um, I like how the servo kind of mounts right up close underneath the electronics plate. Kind of help out with taking the center of gravity more forward. My stab will probably be coming off. That's just kind of like a temporary thing right now. I have my servos mounted. They're 3020s, the same exact servo as H3020. They mounted in. I did have to take the little washers off. The flange didn't. The A3020s have a hole in the slot for the flange. I made my own servo arms. They're actually tail servo T's like that, and the hole all the way to the outside, I just opened it up a little bit so I didn't spread it, and then I trimmed the 3 other tabs off, and that's what I'm using in here. You can see the servo clearance for the motor and stuff. My H450 would probably go in there. That could be tight. There's more room in here than what there is for my the same motor with my 300X or my Lynx 275. Yeah, I have. Okay, let's see what else here. Oh, on the tail servos here, or the cyclic servos, the 2 back ones here. Now, if you take this lower mounting plate out and then mount the servos to that plate, almost total tight, just where you can move them a little bit. Then you mount the 2 servos in, mount your screws into that plate, and then mount them up here, and it goes easy peasy. I was having problems. I was trying to get underneath it and get the screws started. Well, then I just took that lower mounting bar right out, mounted my servos on it, put it in there, mounted it on the top, and I was done. So that's a nice little trick there. The other little trick is, what I'm going to do here. I talked about it earlier. But I'm just going to do it like that. Work on mount my speed controller on here, work on my wires, flip it down, and then put my screws in. So, I actually got the idea from, I won't lie, I got the idea of doing it like this from the Micro Healy frame. It's got like a hood style, but you need to put Loctite on anyways. So it's like, well, what's the difference if I Loctite these screws after I work on it, or if I Loctite them? So, yeah, I'll just put it on here, like, and put my speed controller on here. And yeah, I might flip it the other direction. I gotta wait and see, but I'll do one or two. Yeah, then I got my main shaft to go on, but I have all this done up. It is easier to mount everything up here and then do it work from here back when it comes to the rear boom and the belt drive. It does work better to work this way. I tried putting my boom on in one piece and it didn't work, so I just built it from here up. Got my valve lash set, or I mean my gear lash. This is the 4100 EOX, I think. The Lynx motor. Yeah, EOX. The 4100 kV. This is the extra long. I'm going to be running 350mm blades on it. So far, I really like the frame. It was going together. It went together really nice. I'll probably take a break and finish up now tomorrow. I like what I see. Even if, let's say, um, you crash or something, each piece, you're going to be able to get them from links. So, um, yeah, I do like the setup though. And like I said, these are the A3020s on here. I'm not sure on this, like the high checker or however you pronounce it. I'm not sure on the other servos, but um, they are a little bit tight where I'd have to kind of push down a little bit to get the screws started. But I mean, it wasn't no big issue. It wasn't just bang in. I mean, you had to actually kind of um, like hold down on the servo to get them started. But I mean, it's no big deal. It's not that much pressure where they're going to end up breaking or having damage or anything. But anyways, trick-wise, yeah, my only trick that I found was, take this bottom servo mount out, mount your servos on it, put it back in, mount it, and then mount your servos to the top. Um, and then this servo here, I mounted, screwed the bottom in a little bit, and then I just kind of held down on it, got the top one started, and I drove them both the screws in, and it was no problem at all. So, um, yeah, it all depends on what your size servos you are. Now my stock frames, I always had to run a shim underneath my, between my top bearing block and that sleeve, and it's tight on here. I don't have to have that a shim in there, so it's a nice tight fit. It's loose enough, um, for freewheeling, but yet it's nice and tight, no vertical play. So I'm gonna finish this up tomorrow. I get my icon in tomorrow. That'll be getting mounted directly below the main shaft here. And then my it depends on the center of gravity. I don't have, obviously, like I don't have a canopy on or nothing, but I'll have to check on my center of gravity to see where I put my the BEC and the satellite. Either the satellite will go right here or it'll go right down here. But so far, I like the build. I like the frame. It's clean. It's simple. It's strong. So, all right. Well, yep. Wait, didn't do nothing. Yeah, this is gonna be my Lynx 350, 450 XL. But all right. Well, break time. All right, now I went ahead and I installed one link. I built the link and then installed it on my front servo, my elevator servo there, so I could take some measurements. Okay. Now, first we'll measure the side clearance. All right. All right, we got 2.69 on each side. Now the EOX 1400 kV motor, or 4100 kV motor, has the same diameter as the H450. Right now, well, looking down this way with the link on, I'd say this is all the bigger around you're going to want to go as far as for the this way. But I think that, well, yeah, because I already have my lash set. So this is the biggest diameter motor you're probably going to want to go with. I don't remember the exact dimensions. Let's see. Oh, I put my H450 back. Yeah, I can't get a straight. Oh, here we go. .2824. I think it's listed at just plain 28. I might not have got a straight shot on it. Alright, now, again, like I measured before, weighed before, both frames on equal ground. So like this is direct to swash. The other frame, the stock frame, you had all the additional linkage going up. So I left that linkage all the way up to that point on the frame when I weighed it. This one has all the bearings